Thought I'd have a general chit chat about things that have happened or what I'm up to in the year after my accident. First, thanks for the donations. My friend set up the page. I don't think I've ever commented on it, but I get such a smile reading all the comments. So many great people I've had a chance to meet over my lifetime. And as for me interacting with people, maybe mostly my updates are via YouTube, so sorry about that. And I'm still trying to figure out how to spend that money I was given. But I've had a few ideas for things to buy. I would like to get a place somewhere in the southern French Alps where there's a bit of space and I can just hang out, kind of like what I'm doing now. Probably look at getting an apartment in Valencia where I'm living at the moment. It's a bit easier to get around and it's got good access to here in the French Alps. And maybe somewhere in Brasov as well, which has gliding, if I ever get the hand control gliding stuff sorted out there. But it's just a lovely place and it's a cheaper version of Europe. Another thing I need to sort out is a car. I haven't even sorted out the license yet. It's just such a drama with the hand drive and everything is a hassle. It's not, a lot of the difficulty of having this injury is bureaucratic. Unbelievable. Anyway, glider, probably won't get my own. There's hand control gliders at La Motte Care in the two-seaters, and probably it's nice to fly with other people. Anyway, for now that's all I can do without a license. And I don't know about getting my own glider. It's just such a hassle. So now I'm in Serre visiting Chris, and he's had so many hassles with a motor, with the glider that he's borrowed, but in general they're hassle, like you're getting them fixed, you're maintaining them, and it seems like the main time you use them is, he can self-launch, that's great, but I'll talk about that in another video maybe, but I like winching, so that's you get more practice flying low, but anyway, the motor is such a hassle, it can break, but just owning a glider in general is a hassle. And it's much easier to just turn up to a club and fly in club aircraft. And that's the thing about gliding, is everyone does it together. So you need a bit of help as a paraplegic, and everyone helps each other anyway at a gliding club. It's not like paragliding where I used to climb up a hill on my own. The update with the medical for the gliding, I was told, to be fair, that it could take up to a year. I did the medical at the clinic on the 16th of May, and recently I had to log into the secure accounts and all the stuff that I had to set up. It spent me a week, including 2 hours at the police station, and half of that I was with two people. Ridiculous, trying to set up the secure codes on my laptop and blah blah blah, whatever. So I managed to get the PDFs that I was told by email that I'd received by logging in and all this kind of thing, and it basically said I had to do the medical again because I failed it. But actually everything in my medical was good, and the reason I failed is because I'm a paraplegic, and that's probably not changing anytime soon. So it's just a clerical error basically, but we rang them up this morning and they said that they can't do anything because the system doesn't let them see the information or whatever until the 5th of September. So since the 15th of May, this is, it's ridiculous. So after this I have to demonstrate that I can get in and out of a glider somewhere in Spain when they tell me I have to, as part of the medical, and then I can go for the gliding license, and hopefully getting the medical is a little easier the next time round. But it's just such a hassle. I think maybe I should change sports to something with a little less bureaucracy, but I don't know, I like flying, I like the feeling of flying. It's just, they say if you had to take the paperwork with you, the paperwork weighs more than the aircraft, something like that. So bureaucracy is definitely the hardest part. Other projects, well, I was going to do some contracting work, working remotely, but that didn't work out. But that's another story. Maybe not one for YouTube. So I did do some work in summer at my old work at BOM as a contractor. and that was really good. It was partly just to change the scenery and to get back into it, but a lot of it was just to prove that I could, see how the fatigue affected me in the night shifts. And it was the same like the first time I went gliding after the accident. I thought everything would be okay, but I just needed to get in the air to see, if I handled the spatial awareness and the, I don't know, fatigue or whatever, like if I had my headspace for it. So it's possible I might go do some more work for BOM in the next summer, go to the Southern Hemisphere again, but I'm not sure about that yet. I do have a project which I've revived from, I think, almost 10 years ago, which is writing a book. It's one of those things where it definitely can't be financially justifiable. I mean, if I sold 1,000 copies, that's amazing, but at $4 a book, it's not really worth it. So it's a nice project, though. It's something that I've been thinking about for a while, and it'd just be good to get it out there. But it's like doing the X-Helps. It's not something your financial advisor would recommend for those reasons. I still have a bunch of video footage I want to edit, and I want to sort out my YouTube so it's a bit more easy to understand, like to find things and a lot of stuff I could do there. So over a year since the accident, and I still haven't sorted that out. And what else? So about the accident, I've got some motor function, like I can push my knees together and I can push them up towards my chest, which is something that only happened after 6 months post accident. I started to get that back, and I'm not sure if I can kick my toe out. Like, it sort of looks like maybe something's happening in the water where there's basically no forces, but it's hard to tell with my knee moving up and down if that's just related to that. But there's barely any movement there. But anyway, the other thing, around my balls and the private parts, I don't have any feeling there, and sometimes I've wondered if that sick feeling you get when you whack your balls, like I sort of feel like I might be getting that, but I've never actually been game to give myself a whack for science, just to test that theory. I still care for them even though I can't feel them. I'm generally being fairly active, and I think that's good for recovery. I think instead of doing, for me at least, 10 times exercises, this, like setting a time aside every day to do certain things, I try to make everything like coincidental, and like the flexibility comes from just getting off the chair, getting on the chair, doing this and that and the other. I'm not getting around in the wheelchair every day, but it's definitely not uncommon for me to do at least 5Ks on the wheelchair in a day. As for the accident itself, I still have no memory, and it's a bit annoying that it seems like I got given drugs when the helicopter arrived, even though it didn't sound like I was in pain, or I definitely wouldn't be the person to opt into that. Normally, I basically hardly take drugs ever. I've taken a Valium for my eye LASIK operation. I had 2 Panadol that I brought with me on my South America trip over 15 years ago, and after a week or 2 I gave them to a local because they had a bad cough. I just basically, I think the brain is for making drugs. Definitely, they can help in medicine, but the less the better. And as soon as we found out I was taking painkiller drugs at the hospital after the accident, like a week after we got off them, it was just messing up with my brain. And I have a little bit of pain now and then, like the neuropathic pain in my legs. It's been pretty good lately, actually, but occasionally, some days, or usually for a day, maybe the next day, but no more than that, I'll get these sort of jolting pains, like someone's stabbing a knife in your leg in the same spot, just randomly. Like, I think it goes away after a second or 2, but it just makes you flinch. It's quite annoying, especially if you're trying to get off to sleep. But that's been pretty rare. It's been a handful of times. I have heard from the guys who investigated my accident. They got in touch with me after I put the YouTube video out, and they are going to present what they found. I thought they would just send me a report from the helicopter guys or whatever, because I haven't heard anything about their point of view. But they want to do a presentation to me, so that was going to be during this period I was in France, so I wasn't sure what was happening, so I'll follow that up next month. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really change things that much what happened, but it'd be interesting to know. I mean, some people try to go out on a mission, you know, if their loved one dies, to make it so that it won't happen to anyone else. And yeah, that's good in a way, but in other ways, like, the risk is a part of life, and it's not like the obvious problem was that I crashed the paraglider. After that, there might have been some negligent or malpractice which resulted in the spinal injury, but they were trying to help me, so yeah. And in general, in the news, Ukraine is, what a disaster. I mean, I guess it wasn't supposed to go on for so long, but humans do funny things, don't they? But maybe it'll be good for the energy transition. But yeah, I was so lucky to grow up in a rich country and to be able to do all these things that I've done, and so many people have it so much worse off, and people in the prime of their lives just you know, having these terrible injuries and all the psychological damage from stuff like that is pretty sad. China, maybe the demographic is getting older. They've got the one-child policy is kicking in, and they're starting to, well, they've been overtaken by India, and with COVID it slowed everything right down, so they are probably not going to be producing so much cheap stuff for the rest of the world in future decades, which in a way is good for the environment, because we use a lot of energy making stuff that we just throw in the bin. So yeah, maybe it's good to be a little bit more like a Nanans, I suppose. And ChatGPT, I have been using that on and off, and yeah, for surgery advice, it at least gives you a quick answer, and it tells you, you know, see a doctor, blah, blah, blah. I have had it tell me some stuff that was pretty dodgy, like calculations about, yeah, it wasn't very good with that. But yeah, it is pretty cool to talk with it, but it's funny that politeness is such a big part of communication, I think, and just being the way you say things and the way you get people on and offside. And it's funny how I still seem to do that a little bit. Not that I'm the model example of this, of course, but I still seem to do it a little bit with ChatGPT, even though it's not a human. And my philosophy like 10, 20 years ago was, we're pretty screwed with climate changing things quickly, and best to see it while you can. That was the selfish point of view I've taken up. So I got a fair bit of stuff done before my accident, and I'm pretty happy with that. I'd love to be able to do more gliding in the future, because that's another awesome way to get around. I was already hoping to do that in spite of, or before the accident, but I've got a lot of memories. That's one thing I'm pretty happy about, is that, well, I'm alive, but also it seems the brain is more or less working the same as it did before. So there.